To make a facial mask, we're gonna need an iron, some pins, some 1/4 inch elastic. I could not find 1/4 inch, I found a 1/2 inch, so we're gonna cut this in half. Something to measure with, scissors, wire cutters, and 20 gauge wire. My husband was able to find this at Ace Hardware. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Make sure you're using 100% cotton fabric and cut 9-inch by 6-inch rectangles. You can take one pattern and use it as a backing so that you know which side is the dirty side. We don't want to make it the same on both sides. Or you can choose 2 entirely different patterns so that you know which side is the used side. So go ahead and cut out your rectangles and then we'll go ahead and get started. Using one pattern side, put the finished side down and then put the unfinished side down on top of that, okay? So it will look like this. And we turn it right side out when we're done, it'll look fine. This is the hard part. For the elastic ear bands, we want to cut 7-inch strips. Like I said, I started with 1/2 inch, that's all I could find, so I cut it in half. But you wanna lay it down corner, like at a 45-degree angle, corner to corner, and it's gonna go in between the 2 pieces so that when we turn it right side out, it's gonna be fine. So we're gonna put this on top and we're going to pin it. It's okay if it's not exactly perfect because we're gonna cut off the corners at the end. Pin through all 3 pieces like this. Like this, and I go ahead and put one more pin that down so that I don't accidentally catch the elastic when I'm sewing. All right, I'm gonna do the other side and then I'm gonna take the iron and press it down. This is the wire that you'll need. It's 20 gauge crafting wire. Cut a piece of the wire 6 inches long, and then you're going to mark out a 1/2 inch and bend it in like this. And don't worry if it's not perfect because in the end you're gonna mold it to your face. And just keep this ready because after we sew, we're gonna insert it and then continue to sew it out. Now we're ready for the sewing. We want there to be a 2-inch gap here in the bottom of the face mask so that we can pull it through at the end. So we're gonna start about this far, maybe a few inches from the end piece. And of course, we want a 1/2 inch seam allowance. On my machine, it's the first line. We're gonna start by going forward, backing it up just a little bit before we continue on. When you get to the elastic, it's gonna be pretty thick and we really want it to be reinforced. So we're gonna back it up and sew on it a few times. Lift up the foot, turn it around, put the foot down, go forward and back a few times just to reinforce it before we continue on. Okay, I stopped my stitching about that far, a couple inches, and backed it up. And I'm gonna take my wire, I'm gonna stick it through. And this is gonna be so that you can form it around your nose. And so I'm gonna make sure that it's kind of even. And then I'm gonna pin it as close, I'm gonna press it real tight up to that top seam. And you can feel the loop in there. I'm gonna stick a pin in there to hold it down so that it doesn't move when I go to sew around it. And I'm gonna get it real tight against the edge. Okay, I'm ready to sew. This is the tricky part. You can feel the end of the ring in there. So you want to angle your foot bar. We're gonna come out at an angle and we're gonna come around the loop and try to stay as close as we can to that wire and then cut back. You're not gonna see any of these stitches, so don't worry, because when we turn it inside out, everything's gonna be on the inside. So don't worry about it. Just try to stay as straight as you can and do not run over the wire. I've already broken one needle. So just try to stay as far as you can away from the wire, but yet still keeping it tight. Okay. All right, go ahead and trim up any loose things you might have. And at the corner, we're just gonna snip off, don't make sure you stay clear of any stitching, but this is gonna take out some of the bulk so that there'll be nicer corners when we pull it out. And then we're gonna go back to our 2-inch gap that we left. And we're gonna come in and get the corner of one of the wires and we're gonna start to pull it through. You can see we have our ear band and our other ear band and our nose wire there. And we're gonna go ahead and sew up the lower edge. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and make 1/2 inch pleats. I'm gonna bring it down, I'm gonna press it. Okay, bring it down again. And press it, and it's really not that big of a deal if it's absolutely perfect because nobody's gonna know in the end. It's gonna be gathered at the side and then it's gonna poof out in the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and pin this down and then we're gonna sew it on both sides. This is what it looked like when you're done. So you wanna make sure that you reinforce that stitching by backing it up when you sew it across all these pleats. And then you have the back side so you know which side is dirty. And then when you put this over your nose, you're just gonna like press it down against your face so it'll mold and it'll create a better seal. And then this is pretty much what it will look like when it's over your face. This is another pattern that we made where it's reversible. And then my girls added some lace and some jewels to theirs. I'm not sure how that'll hold out through the wash, but they had a lot of fun doing it. So easy peasy. Go ahead and subscribe to us or send us your questions and I'll answer if I can. Thanks.